Victorian England, illness was common. Death inside a household rarely raised immediate suspicion. Doctors had limited tools, and poison could easily hide behind symptoms that looked like ordinary disease. But one woman seemed to experience tragedy far more often than anyone else. Across multiple towns, husbands, children, and relatives repeatedly died while living under her care. Each time, the explanation sounded ordinary: fever, stomach illness, sudden weakness. Yet one detail slowly began to disturb investigators. Many of those deaths occurred shortly after small life insurance policies were taken out. At the center of this pattern was a quiet nurse and housekeeper named Mary Ann Cotton. Her case would eventually reveal one of the most calculated poisoning investigations of the 19th century and force society to question how easily trust inside a home could be manipulated. Mary Ann Cotton was born in England in 1832, during a time when poverty shaped many lives. Industrial towns were expanding rapidly, but working conditions were unstable, and medical care remained limited. From an early age, she worked in domestic service. Like many women of her era, financial security often depended on marriage. Over the years, Mary Ann married multiple times and frequently moved between towns. Each new marriage appeared to offer a fresh start, yet tragedy followed closely behind. Family members living with her often became ill, with symptoms doctors at the time commonly associated with gastric diseases. In the Victorian period, arsenic poisoning was notoriously difficult to detect. Many medicines even contained small amounts of toxic chemicals. This environment made it possible for someone with knowledge of household remedies to conceal dangerous actions behind ordinary illness. As Mary Ann Cotton's life unfolded, a troubling pattern began to appear. As Mary Ann Cotton's life unfolded, a troubling pattern began to appear. Several husbands died while married to her. Children in her care also passed away under similar circumstances. At the time, local communities accepted the explanation of illness. Victorian households regularly experienced disease outbreaks, and medical investigations were rare. However, a few observers noticed a consistent detail. Life insurance policies had often been purchased shortly before the deaths. These policies were typically small but valuable for working-class families. Individually, each death seemed explainable, but when viewed together, the timeline raised uncomfortable questions. Was this repeated misfortune, or something more deliberate? The turning point came in the early 1870s. A local official reviewing a child's death certificate noticed inconsistencies in the explanation provided. The symptoms described, stomach pain and weakness, matched illnesses common in Victorian England, but they also closely resembled arsenic poisoning. Authorities began quietly reviewing earlier deaths connected to Mary Ann Cotton. When records were compared, the number of tragedies surrounding her became difficult to ignore. Investigators now faced a difficult task. Exhuming bodies and conducting chemical analysis was still an emerging scientific process. Yet this investigation would become one of the earliest examples of forensic toxicology being used in a criminal case. Authorities decided to exhume one of the recently buried victims for chemical testing. Forensic specialists searched for traces of arsenic inside the remains. Despite the limitations of 19th century science, the results revealed measurable levels of the poison. This discovery dramatically shifted the investigation. What had once looked like unfortunate illness now appeared to be a deliberate pattern. Mary Ann Cotton was arrested and questioned. During interrogation, she maintained that the deaths had been natural. However, the financial records and toxicology results told a different story. Investigators now prepared a case that would be presented before a jury. The trial attracted public attention across England. Prosecutors argued that Mary Ann Cotton had used arsenic repeatedly to obtain insurance money and financial stability. The defense challenged the reliability of early forensic science and suggested that illness remained a plausible explanation. Expert witnesses testified about arsenic detection methods. This moment was historically significant. Scientific evidence, rather than eyewitness testimony alone, became central to the prosecution. After reviewing the evidence and testimony, the jury reached a verdict. Mary Ann Cotton was found guilty of murder. Her case became one of the earliest high-profile poison investigations in British legal history. One aspect of the case often overlooked involves the economic realities of Victorian society. For many working-class families, life insurance served as a form of financial survival. Policies were small, but could cover funeral costs or provide temporary stability. Historians note that this system unintentionally created incentives that investigators had rarely considered. Mary Ann Cotton's actions exploited a structure that had minimal oversight. Insurance companies at the time did not always investigate multiple policies linked to the same household. After the case became public, financial institutions began reviewing how policies were issued and tracked. The crime revealed weaknesses not only in policing, but also in financial systems. The case of Mary Ann Cotton contributed to growing awareness of forensic toxicology and the need for stronger investigative procedures. Courts increasingly recognized chemical analysis as a legitimate form of evidence. Insurance companies also began improving verification processes for policies. More importantly, the case demonstrated that crimes within private households required careful scrutiny. The investigation showed how patterns across multiple events can reveal truths that individual incidents may hide. Today, historians and criminologists study the case not simply as a story of crime, but as an example of how science, law, and financial systems evolved together. A quiet series of tragedies ultimately reshaped investigative thinking in Victorian Britain.